Hi. Today I'm doing an unusual soup. It's called oxtail soup. It is a family favorite, and also it's a great treat in Jamaican countries as well. And this is what the package looks like when you go to the supermarket. And it usually has about 3 or 4 pieces in one package. Now, what I'm going to do is take and try to get rid of some of the fat off of the bone, because it really is a lovely vegetable soup as well. So once we get all the ingredients in place, you'll see how the oxtail will really, the flavor will blend into the vegetable soup. And so I'm just taking off little pieces and putting it aside. And then once it cooks, you can also take off a lot of the fat. Now this one, it has a very thin skin. I'll leave that. And then they have smaller pieces. They're okay too. They have a little piece of meat in the bones. And this one is fine. So what you have to do is just try to get the fat off of the larger bones, and it's really well worth it. I don't mind the hard work just to get those heavy pieces of fat off of the bone so the meat can be enjoyed. So there's a really good one. And I'll just take this little piece off there. And so you can see that's a meal unto itself. So again, remember, this is what it looks like. And so you have to go to the meat section. Sometimes only special days they have it, and it's well worth the take. The next step is to prep the veggies. So I have here, first, celery. So I make sure to make nice small pieces. There, that should do it for the celery. And the next step is carrots. Now with the carrots, it's important to grate them. And I have a few small ones. It's easier for me to handle. That's pretty good. I'm just going to do one more because it's a big pot of soup. That is good. Now the last thing, so you have the grated carrots. Now the last thing is 1 whole onion. So you just peel off the outer skin, and you can cut the bottom a little bit and put this in whole. Now this is a very easy process. So going to start out with the water. There are 2 quarts already in the pot, and I'm just showing you that it takes 3 quarts of water. That's the first thing. This is split peas, yellow and green. This is barley and lima beans. So you take one at a time, add it to the water. There. And of course, as you go along, this simmers for about 3 hours. You can stir it around. Then I have this packet that I get in the kosher food section in any supermarket, and it also has some barley, split peas, you name it. So I always add in an extra batch, and here they have a little seasoning packet, and I add that in too. Now we have the grated carrot and celery, and make sure you get all of those in the pot, and 1 whole onion. Just place it in. And the very last thing, what I started out with, and that is the oxtail. And so I will carefully place each piece in the pot. This is a real big one. And I know someone in my household who loves oxtail soup. Now, it's very easy. All you do is stir it around, get it going, and you let this simmer for 3 hours. And then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. The soup has been cooking now for over 15-20 minutes on medium to high, and I just want to show you what it looks like. I know I've mentioned to you that it's to simmer for 3 hours, but you need to get it to come to a boil. And you see this extra foam, you can try to get this off. This is some of the residue from the bone, and so just check it every once in a while, and you might want to clear it off the top and then continue on. And once it comes to a full boil, make sure that you turn it down and let it simmer for at least 3 hours. It's 3 hours and the oxtail soup is ready. Now look how nice and thick it is, and the oxtails, I'm sure, are ready to be eaten. I'll take a few out and just show you what they look like. And I'm going to save this for later in the show, because it just so happens I have a special guest chef today, and you are going to have the opportunity to see another lovely soup made. So I will take and I will set this down and introduce you to my guest chef. Now it is my pleasure to introduce today's guest chef, and I would like my husband Merrill to come onto the set and explain to the viewing audience what you're going to be making today.
Hi, I'll be making a pasta Fagioli soup. It's actually a real delicious soup. And I modified it from most of the other pasta Fagioli soups that are out there. Okay, here we go.
Go right ahead.
First thing we do is we add 1 cup of water. We happen to use spring water. And the next thing we'll do is we'll add a can of chicken broth, okay? This is actually 14.5 ounces, okay? Notice I'm adding the liquids first, okay? And now I'm going to add a 29-ounce can of chickpeas, okay? These are actually crushed, okay? And the reason I crush the chickpeas is because it gives a nice texture when you're taking the soup, and also it makes the soup much thicker. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll add the crushed chickpeas to the liquid portion of the soup. You can see not all of it is crushed, but at least 95% of it is crushed, I'd say. Okay, beautiful. The next product that we're going to add to the soup is cannellini beans, okay? What we do is we pre-rinse it, get rid of all the extraneous material in there. So we just have the pure beans, okay? There we go. I'm gonna add that. This whole soup is gonna be cooked for half an hour, so during that period, the ditalini pasta will soften and it won't give the texture, that hard texture. Okay, now we're going to add 2 crushed cloves of garlic, okay? And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, okay? The next item is we're going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. That little hint of tomato paste is going to make the world of difference. It also adds a nice color to the whole soup product. Okay. And finally, we're going to add a pinch of salt. And a pinch of pepper. And lastly, a pinch of basil. Don't want to add too much, just a pinch. And that's our finished product. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to set the heat on medium. Leave it there until we get a boil, okay? Now when it comes to the boil, we're going to adjust the dial and bring it down to simmer. Okay, it's been 30 minutes since we started making the soup. I'm going to shut off the stove, and what we do is we see predominantly the cannellini beans and the ditalini pasta, and it looks beautiful. And like I said, you don't see any of the chickpeas at all, and it looks great. Okay.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
And I know that I enjoy mine with Parmesan cheese, and then also I've added in some breadsticks that have been purchased, but a special dip, and I am going to add that recipe for this special dip along with the other two recipes. And remember, in the beginning of the show, I showed how to make oxtail soup. And I know that you like both oxtail soup and pasta fagioli. Which is your favorite?
Well, I like them equally.
Really?
As much.
Mm.
Yeah. On this, if you wanted to, you can always add. A lot of people don't like too much salt, so you can add a little more salt. You know.
See, I find it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't usually
Now you
add
add
too
just
much
a little bit of
salt.
salt, but delicious.
No. This is perfect. And this bread dip has olive oil, garlic, and some herbs in it. And I think that you'll find it especially tasty with a meal like this. So I would recommend that you check out Glow's Eatery. And I thank my husband for being the
welcome.
guest chef
You're
today. You did
My
a
pleasure.
great job.
My pleasure.
And see you next time.